On this day, Chavchet Iyar, when we commemorate Shichrur Yerushalayim, I'd like to call your attention to the medrash that explains the name Yerushalayim. It's a combination, a hybrid of two words, Yira and Shalem. And the medrash tells us that Shem ben Noach, who's called in the Bible Malki Tzedek, he called the name of the city Shalem. On the other hand, Avram Avinu, at the time of the Akedah, called the city by the name of Yera'el or Yira'ah. And the Medrash describes how HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not know which name to confirm as the name. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu felt that if he would take the name Shem, that Shem gave, meaning Shalem, then Avram would have a taromas. If he would choose the name of Yira that Avram had chosen, then Shem ben Noach would have a taromas. And they were both tzaddikim. So therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to make a compromise, and he combined and integrated these two names together, Yira and Shalem. On the Medrash, there's a commentary called the Anaf Yosef, and he points out that the two names that were given respectively by Shem ben Noach and Avram Avinu were indicative of what each one thought would be the ikar and the main way in which we should serve Hashem as a people, as a nation. Shem put the emphasis and the priority on shlemus hamidos v'hamalos, meaning that a human being should strive for perfection in his attributes, in the way he sets up relationships and deals with other people. Make sure that his midos are the good midos, that he's going in the right way. Avram Avinu, on the other hand, felt that the highest level and what's primary in the service of Hashem is Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and therefore the name that would be appropriate for the lave of Klal Yisrael, the heart of Israel, the Yerushalayim itself, would be Yira. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu integrates the two. And it's interesting because chronologically, Shem ben Noach is first, Avram is last on this list, and yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose Yira first, Yerusha and Shalem of Shem ben Noach second. But what I would like to suggest, I believe that although Avram Avinu's ultimate level of what we can achieve and what we aspire to is certainly Yira, and in that sense, there's no question that hands down he wins. But the importance of Shem ben Noach is perhaps the name Shalem chronological. What do I mean by chronological? In terms of step by step. We cannot jump into Yira and Av. Take a look, for example, at the introduction to Sefer Bereshis of the Netziv Mivolozhin in his great work Hamek Dover, where he says that the Nevi'im called the book, the first of the 5 books, by the name Sefer HaYesharim. And that refers to the three of us, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, but perhaps primarily to Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu represents Yashar. And the Netziv says that there were tzaddikim which they didn't find favor in the eyes of God because there was a certain akmumius, which is the Hebrew opposite of the word Yashar, in terms of their relationships and interrelationships. So that the precondition to being a tzaddik in the eyes of the Ribono Shel Olam is Yashrus, and therefore Sefer Bereshis, the first Sefer, is the Sefer HaYesharim, those who are straight in their ways. The Ramban, in his commentary on the Torah, on the Pasuk Vasisa Yosher Tov, points out that to reach Yashrus and Tov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't give every last detail about how to react and how to behave in every situation. It's just endless. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose to give us certain mitzvos. And from those mitzvos, we could extrapolate and derive what are the right ways of Yosher. And the Ramban there points out that society, a Jewish society, has to be built in its chukim, mishpatim, its laws, statutes on Yosher, on straight, on caring about everyone, whether it's the privileged, caring about the underprivileged, and in our relationship to reach those shlemus hamidos v'amilos. And only such a person and such a society can move on to the highest level, the next level of Ava and Yira. And so the name Yerushalayim, which reflects on the very lifeblood of every Jew of all of Klal Yisrael, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. It's almost a Lashon Shvua. We will not forget Yerushalayim. We will constantly pray to rebuild Yerushalayim. The rebuilding of Yerushalayim is the first stage until we have the restoration of Malchus Beis David and the Melech HaMashiach. We're on the way. But the name Yerushalayim has to teach us that there's got to be this integration. We've got to have the Yashrus, we've got to have the Shleimus Hamidos on the one hand, and then to reach the highest level of Ava v'Yira. And I believe that Avram Avinu himself was the greatest integration of these two elements, of Shleimus Hamidos, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is about to destroy the city of stone. Hamachas ani me Avram. And there in that pasuk, in Parshas Vayera, Hashem describes Avram as someone who has a legacy to give over to Beso, Bnei Beso Achrov, of Tzedek u'Mishpat. And so that Avram Avinu in his own life is the paradigm of that integration of Shleimus Hamidos, on the one hand, Shalom and Shalem, and on the other hand, Ava and Yira of Hashem, as it reaches its pinnacle in the great trial of the Akedah. We should really try to emulate Avram Avinu, and take the message of Yerushalayim, of that chibur, ki'ir shechubro lo yachdav. Chubro lo yachdav, David HaMelech, means these two elements. And to build a Jewish society based on the laws and the statutes of Yosher Vatov, we need this so desperately in our time. There are too many things, I don't want to get into it, and chas v'sholom on this very special day to speak pejoratively about any member of Klal Yisrael, but there's some lack of yashrus in the entire society, the entire system. And of course, we need the midah of Yira. And the midah of Yira is connected, I think, to Kabbalas HaTorah. It's not coincidental that Yom Yerushalayim is the kickoff, so to speak, that projects us towards Har Sinai, towards the 6th of Sivan, the holiday of Kabbalas HaTorah, because the Torah emphasizes, Vayichan Sham Yisrael, say Chazal, Ki ish echad b'lev echad. How do we reach Ki ish echad b'lev echad? And according to the Anaf Yosef, that's what Shem ben Noach was teaching us, that Yerushalayim is the heart of Klal Yisrael, has got to be predicated on a society of shlemus, hamidos, v'hamalos, of love and respect mutually for every Jew, of Vayichan Sham Yisrael. And Amir Hashem, if we'll strive and improve ourselves, each and every one of us, each and every one of us has a contribution to be made towards Yashrus and Shlemus Hamidos, then we'll be Zocher Mirz Hashem to the Kabbalas HaTorah that will lead us to Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. And with that integration of Yira and Shalom, Yirtzeh Hashem will be zocher to see Yerushalayim b'bniyasa in its ultimate splendor, a binyan of Yerushalayim in its perfect integration. B'herav Yameinu Amen. Thank you and wishing you all the best on this great day.